I feel like I grew up at the Barbican. It was the very first place where I played in when I made my debut in London. It was with the LSO at the Barbican, and I think I was all of 11 or something ridiculously young like that. So it's for me, it's like it almost feels like a second home. For this particular tour, I really tried to just listen to my heart and program things that I love and I know that I'm comfortable with and that I'm 120% confident with. And a program that's just truly me from the heart. Well, this is a Guarneri del Gesù. I've had it since I was about 14 years old or so. I found it through Isaac Stern, and I went to Carnegie Hall with Isaac Stern, and we played about 10 or so different violins. We had this amazing array of Stradivariuses and Guarneri del Gesus, and we both played, and we both went out into the hall and listened to the other. And no, this was one of the few times that Mr. Stern and I, within 2 seconds, just agreed that this was it for me. This instrument was it, and I'm really lucky to have it. You know, it's a pretty phenomenal instrument. It was made in 1717. I feel that now, after all these years, I'm finally starting to understand the magical corners and what it can and can't do for me, and I'm starting to get its temperament now. You know, it's kind of like it took us a while to get used to each other and to realize what we wanted from each other. This program is really special to me because every piece on the program is a jewel, and they're personal favorites of mine. We've got the Brahms Sonata, which is just out of this world. We've got the Franck Sonata, which has always been one of my favorites. I recorded it with Lars Vogt several years ago, and it's always been one of my favorite sonatas. And the center of the recital is going to be Christopher Theophanidis' piece. He was the LSO's Master Prize winner several years ago. He is, in my opinion, one of the hottest, youngest, most fabulous composers out there right now on the circuit. He wrote a concerto for me in 2008, which I premiered with the Pittsburgh Symphony. Gorgeous concerto. A lot of work. It's a technical nightmare, but it's so much fun to play. The first moment of the concerto was something very majestic and beautiful. The second movement is one of the most gorgeous pieces I've ever listened to or played. You know, sometimes when you're doing a piece by a new composer, there'll be, you know, he'll write it, he'll send it to you, you'll learn it, there'll be maybe 1 or 2 back and forth conversations, and that's it. But with Chris, it was from the get-go, from the beginning to the end. There were multiple phone calls, many meetings, many long-distance phone calls as well, because I would be in Paris, he would be in New York, or I would be, you know, in Atlanta and he would be in LA, and just a lot of like late-night phone calls and a lot of, you know, all that stuff where you put him on speakerphone and you play, you know, and you try to explain that doesn't really quite fit in the fingers, and could he possibly rewrite this? And it was truly like having a concerto custom made. Getting to work on a new piece by a contemporary composer who's written it specifically for you is really exciting because, first of all, nobody's played it before, which also means that you have zero way of researching because you can't listen to records, you can't go to anybody's concert, there's no way except reaching out to the composer and just trying to pick his brain and trying to put yourself in that sort of mindset so that you're feeling what he felt when he was writing that, and trying to portray the sound that he has in his mind, trying to understand what he wants, and somehow coaxing that out of your own instrument. He had written the first one, and then there was this lapse of silence because he had just had his daughter. It was his first child, birth of his new daughter, and he was busy being a new dad. And he said that he began sketching the second moment, the melody for the second moment, the day she was born. And there's so much love in it, so much love and warmth and tenderness. And I think, you know, you actually get to experience the composer's life through his works. And it was very touching to get to be a small part of that. I've got 4 bows, which I absolutely adore. That's the Picot and the Satori, which are my very reliable, very powerful concerto bows, which can soar over 90 musicians when you're playing, you know, in this huge hall, and you can do so without much effort because the instrument just carries by itself. And that's a really pretty bow. It's, you know, if you'll, that's it's fairly modern, and it's one of my few modern bows that I've got. But if you look at it, it's like it's such a girly bow. I mean, it's got diamonds and little stars, and it's still pretty to look at, and actually does sound okay too. So, you know, best of both worlds. But no, you know what, I live out of my case. You know, I could literally, if my luggage never arrives into a city, I could basically survive for a few days with everything that I got in here. Because I've got, you know, I travel with everything. You know, I've got music all the time with whatever I'm working at. You know, I always print out all my faxes and stuff like that. So I've got that. And, you know, oh, and if you guys want to see my passport, I've got the most ridiculous passport ever because it's like a book. You know, because I had to like get all these extra pages put in because I travel way too much. I've gotten so used to the travel and the life on the road and giving concerts that sometimes the normal things, you know, like, you know, actually be able to fend for yourself in the kitchen and not always have to, you know, not always relying on, you know, the help of a concierge downstairs, because if you're home, I realized this over Christmas break, you don't really have a concierge at home. You need to do things for yourself. So, you know, it's really interesting, just the everyday normal things I'd love to be better at. To have this sort of really beautiful program where a lot of it is repertoire that I grew up with, that I feel very comfortable with, and then to have the center of the program be Christopher Theophanides' piece, you know, the new premiere. It's a very, very exciting program for me. It's a really, really nice tour. I'm thrilled to be doing it in London at the Barbican because it's a very special hall for me to be in that hall and to have a sort of intimate setting as it is when you've got a piano and yourself and that's it. You know, it'll be really, really special for me.